Hey everyone, and welcome back to Joy at Work. I hope you're doing well. I'm glad to be with you. I haven't been as consistent the past couple of weeks or maybe the last 2 months just because of personal challenges and just life coming at you. But this is part of our existence. Sometimes we have really smooth, if you will, like uneventful, or life follows a regular routine. And then sometimes life just is different, and we're faced with challenges and difficulties. We might not always be in the right headspace to share what's on our mind, but I really enjoy doing this. I really enjoy sharing, getting feedback. So it's almost therapy in a sense. So I'm glad to be here doing this today as we continue to talk about joy at work. Arsenal's cut down the gap between them and Liverpool at the top of the table. So optimistic. Hopefully, by the end of the month, we'll be close to Liverpool, if not tied. So go Gunners. I don't know what City's going to do this year, but it looks like it might be a race between Chelsea, Liverpool, and Arsenal. So we'll see. I hope you're doing well, and I'm always thankful for people who just come, listen, share, and give me feedback. So we're talking about work orientations. We've talked about job. We've talked about career, and we're talking about calling. If you haven't seen the videos in job and career, go listen to them because we're now on calling. And I've said many times, your orientation, you might have a plurality of orientations in the sense that, of course, there's an aspect of your work that might be about, I got to advance my career, or it's a job because it takes care of my human needs. But we're really focused on the primary orientation or the dominant orientation we might have towards our work. And so when we think about calling, as I shared in the last video, the calling orientation is really when your work is a means or a vehicle through which you positively impact the world. You felt drawn to do this work and you find meaning. You find a way to express yourself through this work. Now, one of the pieces of feedback I got, and I think that we can go a lot of ways with this, is somebody said, "Hey, it's a privilege or a blessing to find yourself in a situation where you have all those things." And I'll just offer that there are no perfect like work situations. I know of none. I know people who've loved doing something, found extreme meaning, felt they were making a difference in the world, and yet the job itself was very, very difficult. It had aspects of it that they just did not like a lot. Like maybe they had to travel, or maybe they had to negotiate with people, or maybe it required like very physical, demanding effort from them. So I think it's important to not say if work is calling that it means work is easy or you derive pleasure from it all the time. That's not the case. Like it's a calling because you feel really compelled to do it. You find meaning from doing it. And in most cases, you are positively impacting society. So when you look at it holistically, you have a calling, but it doesn't mean that there are parts of it that you just don't like, or if you had your druthers about you, you would go about doing it differently. And next week's video, I'm going to talk about how we can, in the situation we find ourselves, maybe begin to tinker, or as we call it, do some job crafting that can make something more of a calling to us than it is today. So I think sometimes we are passive in that we focus on the things about our job that we don't like, and so we just immediately conclude, like, I cannot be called in this particular area, or I cannot have a calling orientation. But what I want to ask you today is, as you think about work as calling, what profession or what would you do for which you would say, this is my calling? Like, what are you impressed to do? What are the things that give you meaning, that help you find fulfillment? And I'm not talking about nouns and identities because people often like define themselves in noun forms. I'm an astronaut or I'm a teacher. But what I'm really curious about is, what are the verbs that describe what you're about? Like some of us like sharing information with others. Some of us like exploring space. Some of us like mentoring people. Some like solving problems. Those verbs are the things that really give us meaning, give us fulfillment. Like when we are engaged in those things, that's when we feel at our best. And it is in jobs that allow us to act out those verbs, quite honestly, might be the jobs where we feel called. And what's interesting about this as well is it also means that different jobs can be a container for us to live out our calling. Give an example. You might like to teach and educate people. Well, you can do this obviously in schools, but that's not the only context where you can educate and share with people. You can do this in corporations. You can be a corporate trainer. You can do this just from a workshop perspective. There are various ways you could verb your way into teaching, training, sharing information with others. So, just something to think about as we explore calling. Think about the verbs, about the things that you feel compelled to do and the impact it has on society and the warmth and joy it gives you when you engage in those things. Those might be the areas of your calling, and think about the things where you're gifted, things that you do very well. So next week we're going to talk about job crafting as well, or we'll see what we talk about next week. But for this week, think about the work that would be your calling because it would engage you in the things you enjoy doing. And I'm not talking again about professions because those are nouns. I'm talking about verbs, things you like to do. Thanks for stopping by. The greatest gift you can give me is, well, gifts maybe, it's feedback. And then sharing this with somebody you think will benefit from it. Hey, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out. And hopefully, I'll be more consistent over the next coming weeks. It's December. Can't believe it. It's the end of the year. Stay safe and be well. Bye.